All right, good afternoon, everybody. It's been a wonderful day. All right, good afternoon. Once again, thank you very much for joining us on this beautiful Thursday afternoon. Hope you have a wonderful day. How's work going? Thank you very much for getting us to 4.6k likes on TikTok. We really appreciate that. I really appreciate that. I'm sure I won't go on. No, I appreciate that. But please don't stop our tapping. Let's keep pushing the life together. Good afternoon, Yemo Night. Ẹkáàbọ, good to see you. Thank you very much for being here. All right. And thanks everyone for the likes. 4.9k likes we've had so far. But please don't stop. I want to make sure we push in, the live. Now, we remember, of course, that on Thursdays, they usually come on camera. So that means, of course, we're just going to be listening. But for us all to power tap so we can keep the live alive. Good afternoon, first Sean. It's good to see you, my brother. Yemunites, thank you very much for being here. All right. I'm tempted to play some more music, but also want to make sure that we stick to the time. So we're streaming on Facebook, on YouTube, and on X. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Glad to have you here today. So again, it's Thursday, which means, of course, that we're not coming on camera, but we're going to be listening to a recording of a session we had a while back, and it was actually a response to a video or a podcast, right? So Shorea was on the podcast and then he made certain statements, and we tried to respond to that, and that's essentially what we're going to be listening to today. So today also I'm going to be talking about Redeeming Republic. The link will be up tomorrow, so you'll be able to register, but I'll keep that until later. But while we are here, again, I'd like to ask everyone to please like the live. If you're on Facebook, please like and share. If you're on YouTube, please like the live. It's important that we do so that we're able to push the live together. If you're on Facebook, please share. All right. Thank you very much for joining. Let's just do that next couple of seconds, less than a minute. More just like, share, do the works, right? I'm waiting for our folks on YouTube. I see one like now. We need more. I'm glad we have a lot more people here than the likes. It's actually quite good. But we need the likes. We need the likes to go up. So please like the live on YouTube. Please give me a second. I need to quickly set up that YouTube stuff. Now, let me start by saying this. The title of today's session may seem a bit, or that particular notion that, I believe that every Nigerian is important. I believe that every Nigerian counts. I believe that everybody deserves respect, deserves honor, deserves love, not just and empathy. I believe in all of those things, and I think, and I do say this every time, and I also practice it, that when it comes to different Nigerians, we should show love regardless of where people are from. We should show respect, whether you're Igbo, Yoruba, Hausa, it doesn't matter. Everybody deserves respect. Everybody deserves love. However, nobody deserves the right to manipulate others or to blackmail people into doing what they're not supposed to do, which is to apologize for what they are not responsible for. So what this means basically is that we're not saying, oh, they didn't suffer anything, just look down on people and just talk to them anyhow. That's not my style, and I don't. People have gone through stuff. It's important for us to acknowledge what they've gone through and also, share the burdens with them. But it would be very stupid for Nigerians to apologize for what they're not responsible for. You can acknowledge what they went through. You can even support them on their path to healing. But apology is just nonsense. And I say that not as a person who doesn't like another group, but as a person who refuses to be blackmailed. and we've been subjected to that for many years. So if you see this as a bit harsh, it's not because that's not the intention, right? It's just to respond to that particular statement because we've been subjected to that for too long and we don't even know what the truth is. But guess what? The truth is coming out now. Again, not to attack an ethnic group, but to correct certain impressions and to ensure that we actually treat ourselves with respect, but not allow other people to blackmail us with a single narrative. All right? So, like we always do, I'm going to read the description. Again, this is a video on the YouTube channel, Busui Oris on YouTube. It's called Showore is wrong. Nigeria owes no evil. Sorry, no apologies. I'll take that again. Showore is wrong. Nigeria owes no apology to the Ibos. And I think I should change the image now so that it looks like the title. Give me a second, please. All right, so that's what we're listening to today. Okay. I'm sure you're going to get the full gist as we listen. So let me read the description, and then we'll get to the conversation. Please, wherever you are, kindly like and share before we even go too deep into this. Okay, it's very important. We're good? Okay. Showore's statement that Nigeria owes the Ibos an apology is a masterclass in political performance. He claims Nigeria has an Igbo problem, that the Southeast has been excluded, and that his first act as president would be to apologize. Apologize for what exactly? For history he clearly hasn't studied or been fed with over. So I'll take that again. For history he clearly hasn't studied, or for the emotional blackmail we've been fed over the years. It's always the same script. Guilt trip the country, paint one group as eternal victims, and hope no one remembers the full story. But history has no short memory, and will remember everyone's role. Plus, the ones demanding an apology might need to check their own chapters first. Showore is chasing headlines, not truth. He's talking about effects when he clearly doesn't understand the causes. Before anyone starts handing out apologies, let's go back to the records and read who did what, when, and why. Nigeria doesn't owe the Ibos an apology. What Nigeria people uncomfortable, but sets the record straight. Here's the video on Showore is wrong. Nigeria owes no one an apology. 1 second, please. I think I've done enough introduction. Okay, I've put out the caveats, have you? If you didn't get the caveat, don't worry. I'll post it to you. The point is that this is to have a balanced view of what happened rather than to be subjected to a single narrative, all right? So here is the video. Showore is wrong. Nigeria owes no apology to the Ibos. Take a listen. I would like us to listen to Bishop Matthew Asankuka. He was on Arise News some days ago, and he had this to say. Please take a listen.
The machinery had already been put in place. As a little kid, I remember, all we wanted to do was just to see what the Sardauna looked like. And in my little village, they were going around with these screens showing us all kinds of things. We had all the wonderful things. Then we had a bureaucracy that really was oblivious to some of the things that have now come to haunt us: ethnicity, religion, the hegemons, and so on and so forth. So we had everything we needed. And when people say to us about Nigeria, why are we not like Singapore? Why are we not like Japan? Well, truth of the matter is that we could have been better than Singapore. We could have been better than Malaysia. Could have literally been better than, no one would have seen our back had the military not struck. Right. Because we already had a bureaucracy. The reason why Singapore is the way it is not because Lee Kuan Yew, yes, he did an extraordinary good job.
But it's like inherited bureaucracy.
He inherited bureaucracy.
Yes.
And the destruction of the bureaucracy, the destruction of society was escalated. Then ethnic identity and consciousness began to emerge. And I can tell you, most Northerners who are in their 70s and 80s still cannot come to terms with the brutal killing of the Sardauna and Tafawa Balewa. Unfortunately, we have a country that doesn't like to confront the truth. We often say as Africans, forgive and forget. And we bury the hatchet, but the handle is outside. So, in my view, up till today, we have not been able to have the time, the honesty, the sincerity to come to the table to say, look, what went wrong? And this is why what we have, the dreams of our fathers or founding fathers have now become nightmares for us. And we now ended up with a situation in which the recruitment process, whether it's for public life or the bureaucracy, all of those things came crashing. So I think we can say why we are where we are today.
The bishop mentioned that we usually have this thing where we just forgive and forget. Well, I'd like you to listen to something just to show you how terrible things can be, especially with those who, for some reason, think that they can lead the rest of us in Nigeria. I'm looking for the video. I'd like you to just take a listen to this and then we'll talk about it. This is Showore. Take a listen, please.
If I were to be president of Nigeria today, the first thing I would do is to head to the Southeast and apologize to them for the war. Nigeria has a problem. And I've always said, Nigeria has an Igbo problem. And I'm not saying it to please people who are known as Ibos. But the moment they decided to take the action they took in 1967 to 1970, the war, Nigeria, having won that war in their eyes, never forgave the Ibos. There is a secret memo, I don't know where it is located, in government, that whenever we want to take charge in this country, be careful of the Igbo. We are not going to solve the problem. It is the reason why the federal government of Nigeria feels that in 2024, detaining Nnamdi Kanu against all the court orders, against all the court rulings, is the only way to go. You know, I was detained in the DSS place for 5 months.
Yes.
There's nothing there to detain anybody. For the place is not even functioning. The DSS headquarters. Yes, is it the same DSS people who are watching BB Nigeria from morning to night?
That's a presidential candidate. You see, one of the things you don't want to ever have in life is to be half educated, because you're going to be left with the ability to speak English, and when you speak, it will be, I mean, you'll be correct grammatically, but you'll be spewing ignorance. Anybody who says they want to go to the Southeast to apologize to the Southeast, that anybody that says that is a very ignorant person. I don't care, you know, that they are lecturing. You know, I put this thing on. I responded to it, and someone told me that he thought that this person taught Nigeria. In fact, I mean, I don't want to misquote because it's just shocking. Someone said that the person actually taught a course in Nigeria, in the US or something. I'm like, I'll read the exchange before I say what I want to talk. So somebody quoted his video and says, this is Nope. It says, you see this Showore's video, there's an element of truth in it, but apologizing is not the solution. Rather, it's the right political strategy and alignment. That's the only way the fear can go away and the trust can be regained. More so, there's need for a massive national reorientation on the unity and diversity. Alternatively, there should be national renegotiation of Nigeria as an indissoluble nation. Otherwise, producing a president from this region may never happen again. I then responded, there's no truth to it. I quoted it, said there's no truth to it. It's chasing effects instead of causes. Study the history closely and you see everyone played a role, but the one demanding reparations is actually the one that should be apologizing. Showore and the rest of us really need to study. So somebody responded to me by saying Showore taught pre- and post-colonial history in the US. He has to explain the statement he made. From what I'm learning following Suyoris and reading you most set forth are done by a prof, I have come to understand a little bit more of the context of the Civil War. So I asked, he taught or he learned? Because if it's taught, in quote, then we truly have a serious problem as a people. When those meant to teach haven't learned enough themselves, yet presume to know enough to make such assertions. Here's the point. Anybody who discusses Nigeria's history and says he needs to apologize to the Igbo is an ignorant person. I don't care if they have taught Nigerian history or they have taught it in US or in Togo. It doesn't matter. The person is ignorant. You can acknowledge what has happened without missing the total context of the events. For instance, who is going to apologize to the people in the Midwest? Who will apologize to people in Ore? Who will go to Benue? Who will apologize to people in River State? The Abonemas, the people in Degema. Who will apologize to the Ibibio? The Efiks. Who will apologize to them? This thing where we have been so overwhelmed by victim narrative, a victim rhetoric, a single narrative, that we now think that because that person has said it again and again and again and again and again and again, that person must have been wronged. Therefore, we should help them. I know we do this thing where we like David and Goliath kind of thing, right? We always want to back the person who is like the underdog. So, who is the underdog? Let's back him. Just because the person is underdog doesn't mean that they have sense. You can be underdog because you're actually senseless. The idea that the East is right because they lost is senseless. Apologize for what? What should we say to the families that lost their to Yoruba people that lost their family members in Benin, or to Benin people themselves that died because people from the southeast went to their land? What should we say to the concentration camps that were built in Benin? Think about it. Somebody comes into your land, builds concentration camps in your land, and put your people in there. Built the same thing in Umaya and took people from rivers into those places. Killed people en masse, and you had bodies floating on the rivers. You see, the thing is, Nigerians don't know. We know very little about what really happened in the past. Very little. A person leaves his place, says he's fighting for his region, decides to take other people's lands, and then decides to start encroaching and actually overrunning other people's regions and declaring governors in those regions and writing letters of what he would do in Yoruba land, in Western region, in Lagos, all over the country. And you should apologize. For what? It's because of our ignorance that leaders of the Ibos who say they want 10 trillion naira reparations. Who are they talking to? Their family members? If there's any group, I mean, with all due respect to the lives that were lost, because people died, and that is regrettable, and that's terrible. There is no way you can even politicize death. But if you are looking for reparations, the Igbo should be paying Nigeria reparations for many years to come. People were killed. Let me just please read from the minorities' perspective first. Let's even leave Yoruba people out of it, because we never know what we do. From September, they bomb Yoruba land. September of 66. War not begin until July. So 10 months before war even begin. Sorry guys, we have a retard just disturbing me. Go and talk to your parents. Maybe they'll teach you at home, because now lie and take raise you people. I even try to help you. See, they talk nonsense. But you know what? I won't mute it forever. Not throughout the life, just 5 minutes. Hopefully to help your brain. Here's the point. Since September of 66, Ojuku's boys started bombing Yoruba land. Bombed Lagos, Federal Palace Hotel, bombed Ore Bridge. This was 10 months before the war. There was no war until July 6, 1967. The man was bombing places in September of 66. The casino hotel they bombed in Yaba, the folks who died, the filling station they bombed that exploded and destroyed buildings and people lost their lives. How come nobody talks about these things? The Northerners who were killed in the East, how come nobody talks about the fact that 2,000 people were in a train journeying from the East to the North, and they were stopped by Biafran soldiers, by Ibos soldiers? There was no Biafra then, September of 66, they were stopped by Ibos soldiers. All the adult males in that train were killed and were thrown into the Imo River. Why doesn't anybody talk about this? All adult males. Some of the people were sold into slavery. If you think I'm lying, read the book by John the St. George, the Nigerian Civil War. Read the book by A.H.M. Kirk Green, Crisis and Conflict in Nigeria, Volume 2. People, Volume 1 and Volume 2. Read those books. People were slaughtered. During the war that they're saying they should be looking for apology, rather, Adakiri, lepers were killed in Benin. Lepers. How do you go into people's territory and kill lepers? There's a river there called Osiomo River. On this side, you have the Ibos. On the other side, you have the Benin, the Yoruba, and other groups. These clowns went through the Igbo side, did nothing, crossed the river, routed lepers, a lepers colony, killed the Benin, Edo, and Yoruba people that they could find. Lepers. Worry, Benin, rounded up all the houses they could find, killed them. Why would you ask for apology after doing that? They killed your people. I mean, bad story. Again, I'm very careful when it comes to lives lost because people died in the Southeast. And it's a terrible thing. But no, there's no apology for that. Not when you are trying to gaslight the entire country and say, oh, I was just sitting down, we just came and destroyed my people, I did not do anything, we just came to... You're lying. This is a situation. I mean, read the book by, what's this man's name? Ken Saro-Wiwa, On a Darkling Plain. Lecturers, professors were telling them why they should fight the war. I feel sorry for the common people in the Southeast because they suffered on two fronts. Number one is like real suffering from the war. Number two, the psychological thing that has remained with them. And that psychological portion is actually worse than the events that happened. And the reason is because it's not that the psychological things came from psychological issues they're having because they're still having it. It's not like it came from the war. It actually came from the propaganda of those who started the war. That propaganda thing is what is affecting the average person that you make. They will now say to the point where a person is to Nigeria is not serious. Like, I don't know for what exactly. Oh, for people that died. Okay, so are you going to apologize for the Nigerians who also lost their lives? Are you going to, I mean, read the book by Nebo Graham Douglas. He talked about what happened in the area. How people were unalived by Biafran forces. A church, 400 people were packed in that, and that happened in two places. One in the Rivers area, the other one in Enoin Division. That Enoin Division, they talked about it in 1968 at this Ababa conference. 400 people gathered into the church and they killed everybody. They burnt that place down with the people inside it. The Biafran Igbo guys did it. How come nobody talks about another about almost 400 again in the Rivers area? You see that in the book by Nebo Graham Douglas. Put them inside one church, burnt the church down. Why do you think the people in the Rivers behave the way they do? You think they're not human beings? They're just doing what they're doing. You don't know the history. How can you burn 400 people inside one church? Not once. Went to a particular prayer group in Rivers State, said because those people were praying for Nigeria, destroyed the entire place where they were praying, chased people, killed the ones they could kill, prayer houses, then decided to ban praying, they call them praying houses in that area. By the way, if you go to that side of the country, you see a lot of praying houses. Banned those praying houses because they were not praying for the success of Biafran war or the Ojukwu side. Went to places in Port Harcourt that were owned by River people, Ibibio people, anybody that was not Igbo, burnt down those houses. Why do you think they came back and said they're going to have abandoned property? We cannot be listening to somebody who tells us that don't believe danger of single story, but the person is giving us one story and we are believing it. I can't take responsibility for it. I can't apologize for that. I can't. It's even stupid to apologize for something like that, because what that means basically is that you have become a person who doesn't know anything about facts. You're just driven by emotions. And if a person can emotionally blackmail you once, you are done for. That's your life. And I've said it before, emotionally blackmailing people from the South is not even because of the war. It's a strategy that has worked since the 1940s. Documented strategy, by the way, documented results. Whether from the British side or from the Igbo side, we have documented. If they do it this way, it makes people do what they want. That doesn't happen again. So that means you hate us. That's your business. Somebody says Akintola was in opposition and was killed. I still don't understand it. Meanwhile, they left theirs. That was even 1966 January. People were on. Guys, think about it. You have a coup. You kill every politician from everywhere but from your region. And the other region where you have your people leading, you didn't go there too. We had 5 capitals: Lagos, Ibadan, Kaduna, Benin, and Enugu. And one place of interest, Calabar, because that was where Papa was being held. Lagos, they kill people like crazy. Ibadan, the same thing. Kaduna, the same thing. Enugu was quiet. Benin was quiet. And the thing that both of them have in common is that they were being led by Igbo premiers. Calabar, as quiet as the streets. There's one street in my unit, very quiet. Nothing. I was saying something about the Kwashoko children. I'm going to go back to that. When you see images of those Kwashoko children, those kids suffering from Kwashoko, it should pain you if you're a human being. But if you make any decision based on that picture, you are not a thinking human being. When you see that picture, it should touch something in you. It should toggle at your heart. You should feel somehow about, like, why would people be like this? But if you decide just because of that picture, you are not a thinking person. I don't care that you have lectured in Harvard, it doesn't matter. The question you should be asking is this: why did this happen and how did this happen? Who is responsible for this? Not, oh, look at what they did to us. What did they do? I'm very careful because people died, so you have to be very. It's something that one has to be very careful. But let me say something. I, again, empathize with people that went through that, but the apologies are not mine to give. The people to be apologizing to those people are Ojukwu and the people that got them into that thing. Before the war, with protein almost forever. The meals in the southeast have almost always been deficient of protein. This is documented. If you want to go into it, when we have the time, we'll discuss it. I'm just responding to what Showore said. They've always had issues with protein-rich food. Again, it's nature. Some things nature doesn't give you. And this is not. I'm not saying that it's their fault that they don't have it. It's just how it is, or how it was. So for fish, they depended on the rivers area. For beef, they depended on the northern part. That's Ogoja area. The food that the Southeast was eating, even before the war, most of it came from Ogoja. Most of what they consumed wasn't created in their own land. Which means that if you want to have war, since your surname is War, and they've begged you, they told you no fight, they had meetings, they had engagements, you went to Aburi. This thing is long. You went to Aburi, January 4, January 5, 1967. You went to Aburi. By March, the decree number 8 was promulgated. Your own people, Ojuku's people, said that decree number 8 contains 95%. One person, his name is N.U. Akpan, who was the secretary of the Eastern region. He said this stuff contains 95% of what we asked for in Aburi. As though that was not enough. Your own private secretary, that's Ojuku's private secretary, who also happens to be a lawyer, says that no, it's not even 95%, that thing contains 98% of the Aburi demands. The 95% claim, you find it in the book by N.U. Akpan, is called the struggle for secession. The 98%, you'll find it in the book by Hilary Njoku, The Tragedy Without Heroes. How can you have 95 to 98% of what you demanded in Abuja and you still say you won't fight? This was in March. And then by May, the federal government was still doing police action. In June, he declared Biafra. Federal government, Yakubu Gowon declared 12 states in May 27. He came along with Biafra May 30. There was no war. They were having, police action. Let's just try and settle this thing. Until now, when they start bombing places in present-day Benue State. Waiting, Igbo man, they look for Inokene. Waiting, Igbo man, they look for in Benue. Say you carry gun, go there, go do waiting. Now, while all this was going on, you didn't have any plans for your people in terms of food. You did not know that you don't have protein in your space. People that had kwashiorkor did not have kwashiorkor because there was no food. They had kwashiorkor because there was no protein-rich food. And that's one of the reasons Okoroko came into existence in Nigeria. In case you don't know, Okoroko came into Nigeria from Norway. That was their own aid that they supplied, stockfish, that the Norwegian government gave to folks in Biafra because, again, protein. So your question will be, okay, so how did they get protein before the war? I thought you would not ask. Two ways. Number one is that they, in fact, it is one way that had two sources. One way, importation. They always imported protein food into their space because even within the region, their own part of the region did not have those things. So when you're talking about, you don't have beans, you're not growing legumes, that will come from the north. You don't have fish, that will come from rivers. You don't have meat, that will come from Ogoja. So you are dependent on these places. So if you are going to say, I won't fight, I won't flex muscle. I will traveled to Enugu May 6 and 7. The guy said he won't fight, Isha won't fight. Since you want to fight so badly, how about find a way to ensure that your people the only thing that I think he did as far as protein was concerned is that he stole 400 pounds worth of granite from UAC. That's the only thing Ojukwu did as far as protein was concerned. He stole granite. The UAC, they are still looking for that granite, they've not found it. If you think I'm lying, please read the speech by Anthony Nauro in 1968, August 12, in Addis Ababa. That's the only protein arrangement that Ojukwu made. People didn't have those things. So before the war, you had to import. Then the question is, how do you get the money to import? Two ways. Number one, you imported based on the revenue that was coming to the government. But the question is this, where was the revenue coming from? Well, 64% of the agricultural revenue of the eastern region, the entire eastern region, came from the minority areas. Not from Igbo area, 64%. Which is why when we're going to declare their own nation, they didn't want an Igbo nation, he wanted a Biafra nation. Why? Because he needed the land in those other minority areas for two reasons. Number one, for residential purposes and building stuff. Number two, for agricultural purposes. You don't have those things. Then you now went to the rivers area. You have some food from there, you have oil there. So you have to take those places and have your own nation. And we should be apologizing. The people where you disengage, where you kill for their own land, say they must be part of Biafra. Nobody has ever apologized to the southeastern minorities, the eastern minorities. Nobody. Everybody just busy pandering to a crybaby. What nonsense are we having in Nigeria? And this one's supposed to be a presidential candidate. And the first thing I will do, I'll go and apologize. Go now. Shebito Bate win. How do you build a nation when everybody just moved by emotion? Someone just comes and says, they did this to me. You didn't ask. Some of us are parents here. You know what happens to our kids, especially the youngest ones of them. You will just come and meet you and say, Daddy, they did this to me. What do you do for the most? Don't you ask that? What did you do to your brother? Or what did you do to your sister? Just hey, what is our relation? Last boss can be like that. Our mothers. Oh boy. I just remember growing up. Our mothers. with the babies. Open shop me let's say me feel because last ones are really wrong. Last ones are really wrong. Sorry, there's a clown who is just busy writing nonsense in the comment section. Charlie, or what do you call yourself? This is your 1 second of fame, and it's over now. When people cry and say they did this to them, maybe you should ask questions. What did you do? And I've said it several times. The day the Eastern minorities begin to speak, what betide the person who tells them to stop? Because you have not heard nothing from them. They've written those things in books, so but who reads? All of where we are reading now, thank God. They've written those things in books, they've talked about it. They said their beat. Oputa panel head every time they speak, they are told to shut up. They are told to shut up because national unity. Which kind of national unity makes one person the sole and perpetual victim of every story in Nigeria? Abba. I'll finish that thing on that Kwashoko thing. 2 ways they were making the money. Number one, it was through revenue. Most of it was generated not by the Ibos, but by the Eastern minorities. Number two, and this is where the Ibos actually tried. Number two was through, I always forget this word. What do we call this thing that we do when you're living abroad and you're sending money back home? Please help me. There's a word for it. Remittance. God bless you. Thank you very much. Remittance. The Igbo people outside the Eastern region always sent money back home, which is beautiful, by the way. And that became a major way to import the protein. So here's the point. You have two sources. You have one source of protein importation. You have two sources of funds, revenue and you want to fight because you must fight. Okay, so what are you doing? What will you do now to ensure that this thing keeps flowing? And then you also have to plan that just in case Nigeria decides to block you, or they have this blockade set up, that it doesn't affect you. What are you going to do to make sure it doesn't affect you? Nothing. The people now start dying. They are sending food to you. You are diverting food meant for those people. The little protein that was meant for the people, you carried all the protein and gave it to your soldiers. Your soldiers were eating. The people were dying or were suffering from kwashiorkor. And I'm supposed to be the one to apologize. The person that was diverting, it was so bad that they curse out our Lord. They don't understand what this man did. The man went to Port Harcourt. He saw people. And then he asked the question, what is happening? They told him, the reason this is happening is because the food is being diverted by the soldiers. So the question is that who will go to the other side to make sure that the food actually gets to the people? Some of you have big English in your bios. But you see, just because you have big words doesn't mean you have brains to actually contemplate. Let me not talk. Let me just mute you. Where was I? You have to now think of how to ensure that the people at the other end are able to get the food that you are sending to them. The question is this: you had no plan to feed your soldiers, you had no plan to feed your people. You are now asking that the government that you are fighting, your enemy, should feed you. Then the enemy sends you food, you use it to feed only soldiers, and then your propagandists, e.g. Okokon Ndem, e.g. Uche Chukwumerije, e.g. Chino Achebe, especially Okokon Ndem, then went on Radio Biafra to tell the world that the food has been poisoned. Food has been poisoned, but they were looking fat. Have you ever seen the video? I played this here before. Please, you can go on YouTube and look for the video. The video of surrender when Philip Effiong led Biafran officers to surrender to go on. To those people who look like they are hungry. If you need if you need empathy, I will. Of course, there's compassion in my heart because I don't hate anybody. It's bad, but I cannot be sorry. Nigeria for what? Our history will not talk about it. We'll be skirting around issues. The one we're supposed to talk straight, we'll not talk straight. The one we're not supposed to talk straight, we could just handle that one and say, oh, we must fight, we must fight, we must fight. I just wanted to talk about that one that is quite crazy though, because if you're going to lead the people, at least you know their history. So apologize. No, I apologize now. Anyway, I don't know if I finish answering the question. The story is complex, right? The story is complex, but there is no part of it. There is no part of that story that requires apology from Nigerian government. None. None. The greatest thing that Nigerian government did, as far as that thing was concerned, even I feel is wrong. And it's one of the reasons we're where we are today. Is that declaration of no victor, no vanquished. It's a very, very wrong thing to do. But I understand why they had to do it at the time. You know, hindsight is 2020. I don't blame our leaders for doing it. I appreciate the predicament, but I wish they didn't do it. Never say no victor, no vanquished. Never. Never. There's a victor. There has to be. It's not maturity. It's danger for the next generation. You only do that when, let's say, for instance, amongst your peers. If something happens among your peers, maybe you might do it. But even then, you have to acknowledge who won and who lost. Why? Because you want to rub it in? No. Because if there's no victor and there's no vanquished, there will be a vacuum, and that vacuum will be filled by something, and it has been filled by something forever. And that word also begins with a V. It's a victim. No victor, no vanquished. There's a vacuum that makes people victims. So you have to now live your life with a synthetic victim. It's an inorganic victim. Because he can't say he's a victor, he didn't win. Clearly, he can't say he's vanquished because that takes away his own ego. He has to be something. And so maybe our fathers did what they did to make Nigeria one in 1970, but this is 2025. It's been 55 years. Have you ever had 1 year in 55 years where the victim narrative has not been peddled? This is, what are we doing? 55 years after the war, 65 years after independence, you still have to say, oh, sorry, oh, sorry, oh, sorry. Oh. You'll not be walking on eggshells around the person that should be saying sorry to you. And no, we don't need anybody sorry. Nobody should apologize for anybody. I'm not saying apologize to Nigerians. You don't have to. If you do, it's fine, but you don't have to. But don't ask me to do so. And if your wants to apologize, he should do it in the name of himself and his family members. He can't do it for Nigeria. It's worse than what I'm saying, by the way. It's worse than what I'm saying. The things they discovered, the things Ojukwu did to his own people. A person decided that his people should not eat so that he can do content. You don't know how terrible this thing. I'm like this because I feel so sorry for the people. They've been lied to and they've bought it. People are saying that your people need food, medicine, and milk. And they are begging you, let your people have food, medicine, and milk. How can they beg you if you're really the leader of your people? And you're saying no. Why? So you can take pictures. He was doing content now. Somebody says I said do content. It's true now. He was creating content. They will take pictures, send it to Life magazine, take pictures, send it to the US. The person that was actually their point man in the US was the one who eventually had to write a letter in 1968 August and say, let your people eat. He published paper, he published it in paper in Kauai, in Lagos. So let the people have this thing. Why are you not allowing the food to get in? If you think I'm lying, guys, look for this name on social media. Yeah, sorry, on the internet. You can look for it. I think you can even find the letter. The letter is in a book by Brigadier General Alabisa. Tragedy of victory. But I think you can find that letter online. It's an open letter. Robert Goldstein. Look for the name, please. Robert Goldstein. Look for the letter that he wrote in 1968 August. You find it there. He was begging. See, the milk is available, the meat, the food is available, the medicine is available. Just let people get this thing across to your people. That's a leader. His children are the one in the comment section are insulting their parents. Some of them wear tie, for no sense. You are also old for nothing. You are old like this. You don't know your own history. Your parents have brought you up with propaganda. You are now telling us to come and apologize for what Tojuku did. Please, guys, look for Robert Goldstein on on internet. Look for it and look for the letter he wrote in 1968. If you believe that letter, if you believe a human being, it's amazing, Shao. How those who help you become villains, but those who put you in trouble become your heroes. It's the story of the Southeast. It's a guru. It's a guru that they were begging for food. So it's those of us in Nigeria that should not be saying, that's why, let me tell you when I even switched. I switched when Owaneze Ndigbo in 2025 asked for 10 trillion naira reparations. That was when I flipped. Because of course, we cannot be calm. When I saw that, they said it with boldness. See, I now went to find it, and the book is down there. Let me not bring it out. It's by Matthew Asankuka, the one from Oputa panel, where they asked for 8.6 trillion naira reparations. Reparations. Because everybody doesn't talk now. All of us are quiet. That's what Kuka was saying in that interview when he said that in Nigeria we just say forgive and forget. No, forgive, but create a structure, like create order based on that thing that happened. Don't just sweep it under the carpet, or else what you're having is exactly what Benjamin Kalu is asking for in Lagos, where he said they have done something illegal, but just overlook it and let them regularize it. They should not put down the building. If you like, let it cause flood all over Lagos State. It doesn't really matter. Shebi, we are Igbo. Just make sure that you regularize it. Tell the governor not to put down they should not demolish the buildings. In other words, we must hold on to this function because we want to pander to a particular group. Actually, because enough said. So, God bless Nigeria. If we want to be doing no victor, no vanquish, let's not be deceiving ourselves that there was no victor, no vanquish. It's fine. It's fine. We know we are deceiving ourselves because we have not resolved that thing. That's why when you read the book by J. Sawa Eligo, where it was talking about the fact that no other nation healed so fast from the war. The book is called Go On, the biography of a soldier statesman. When he made that statement, I was not like, where is the healing? Where is the healing? How do you want the Igbo people to heal? This is actually the service to them. How do they want to heal? Someone says on YouTube, Ojukwu, Azikiwe also wrote a letter begging Ojukwu to negotiate peace to Igbo land, was turned into it. I mean, it's a sad thing when you look at it from the people's perspective. When you see the kind of people that were leading them, God be with you. May God bless Igbo land. They need it. May God bless Igbo land. May things get better in that part of the country. May God raise leaders in Igbo land who actually want the people to be healed and succeed. May God raise people after his own heart to lead the people politically and in religion. Because I see this in religion, I see it in politics, and it's a shame. Let me tell you something. No, I won't say it. You guys, I have answers for all this thing. You guys, I have answers for all this thing you're writing, Sha. Like, I actually do have answers. I just don't think it's necessary because there are things I would say. You doubt the paternity of. Anyway, the important thing is that God will bless your land. And the reason I'm talking about this is because for some weird reason, Chowore woke up and said to Panda and said that he want to apologize because Nigeria stopped them from becoming something. Since how easy is it as a country to produce the vice president of a nation 9 years after you lost the war? Why do you think Nigerian election in 79 went the way it did? Why was it that of the three major parties, the NPN had an Igbo vice presidential candidate, the UPN had an Igbo vice presidential candidate, the NNP had an Igbo presidential candidate? Why do you think that happened? Bring everybody together and say, Zeke was the presidential candidate, was an Igbo man in 79 of MPP. Ekweme was MPN's vice presidential candidate to Shehu Shagari. Philip Umiadi was UPN's vice presidential candidate to Paolo. In other words, all the major tickets had an Igbo as the vice president or the president. And NPN won or shall got sworn in. Meaning Ekweme became the vice president 9 years after the war was lost. What else should Nigeria do? Say they must be, they said they cannot become anything in Nigeria. Number one, if they said so, they have a right to say so. Have you studied what happened between 60 and 64 in the civil service, or between January and July of 66? How do you get into a place and you fill it up with 70% of your people? Not one place, not two, not three, not four, not five, not six parastatals. Just fill everywhere with your people. You think people will now say, open the door and come and fill the place? If people are complaining about things, why not ask, why are you saying this? And how many Senate presidents have we had from the Southwest? How many have we had from the Southeast? Obasanjo's tenure, we had 4. Abishe 5 tenure. It was Enwerem, Chuba Okadigbo, Pius Anyim, Wabara, Adolphus Wabara, and Nnamani. 5. Oh, they said that they want to exclude them from power. We literally have a deputy Senate, a deputy House of Representatives. Is Igbo? What do you mean they've removed them? They are really hated. They are really hated. When they were sharing allocation money, there was a particular period they didn't send money to the Southeast, Abi. Like they must show them. So no money to the Southeast, no allocation, Abi. They've been excluded. There are no people. There are 58 representatives representing the Southeast in Abuja today. 58. 15 senators, 3 per state, 43 House of Rep members, and they are excluded. Oh, presidency, that one, you will do what you will have to do to become president. In other words, you are going to get in there, canvass, you will try, you may fail, you tell you more in Nigeria. Every region in Nigeria has been settled. Every region in Nigeria has been settled. The Southeast got settled in 79. The Southwest got settled in 99. The South got settled in 2011. Everybody is settled. In fact, 2007. South was settled in 2007. Nobody requires. You play the game. You might be like, and just in case I'm not clear, let me be clear. 79 was for the war that ended in 1917. That's for the Igbo people. 99 was for what happened in 93. That's for the Yoruba people. We were denied. So 99 and even then, Ekweme still went against that agreement. But let's leave that matter. Details, let's leave it. We'll talk about that another time. That was 99. 2007. Why was Jonathan made the vice president? Because of the crisis in the South. They've settled that one. Nobody is settling anybody. What about seaport and international airport? You can never have a seaport. Say amen. Because it's the truth. You cannot. Like, it doesn't. I can't say it. It's very negative. You cannot. How are you going to have a seaport? Do you want to lose your land? People that have seaports, they have seaports. Leave what you cannot have and focus on what you have. Without Ibos 12:14. Without follow peace with all men, without holiness, no man shall see the Lord. It's not like when no man shall see the Lord. You don't need seaport to make it in life. There are many parts of Nigeria. Ibadan does not have seaports. Ibadan has more revenue than the entire southeastern region. If it's by seaport, how come Ibadan has more revenue than the entire eastern region? Say, who closed them? Closed. It was never open. There is no seaport in Igbo land. And it is not a minus. Who did this to you people? Why must you have seaport? Say we are traders. They use the one in River State. There are 2 ports in River State. There's one in Port Harcourt, there's one in One. There's one in Calabar. And One is functioning. Made a huge load of money. The same place that Dangote is using to bring in the trucks that are going to be assembling in Enugu is One this year. An airport. You have Enugu International Airport. The port is still in Anambra State. The one that Oyema, that's the airpiece man, was saying that you have money na water. Build one for yourself. Like people are doing it in different states. It's in Lagos, it's in Olokola, in Ogun State. Dangote is building one with Ogun State. It's Dangote. It's not Nigerian federal government. Ibom Deep Seaport, Ẹkáàbọ, they are working with Ondo states. They are working with Badagry, yes, Badagry, Olokola and Ogun State, and Ondo State. Ondo is working with the Swiss consortium. You have billions and you're wearing singlets. And the government will not stop you from building it. All right, thank you very much for listening. That was the video on Busri Ori's YouTube channel. Showore is wrong. Nigeria owes no apology to the Ibos. While we're listening, some people came in and we're doing the normal thing they do in the comment section. But like I explained earlier, this is not about an ethnic group versus another ethnic group. It is actually knowledge versus ignorance. Right? It is wisdom versus propaganda. Right? It is understanding versus manipulation. I will say it again and again. The reason we are easily manipulated in Nigeria, especially as it regards to our history, is because we don't know. All right, and that's what's going to make a person who is trying to become Nigeria's president to say he wants to go and apologize to a group. And let me tell you how this works. If you make that mistake, you are done for, because now you are going to be made to do things. E.g., you have to pay reparations. And don't tell me you're not going to pay reparations. How come you're not going to pay reparations? We're going to apologize. You have to pay the 10 trillion naira or Aneze is asking. And I've said it several times. When let's assume, for instance, somebody is thinking of paying that money. Where would the money come from? Just think about it for a second. 33% of Nigeria's crude oil, right, comes from Warri. 33% of Nigeria's oil comes from Warri. They really enjoyed whatever they were doing, burning churches, burning people, just like it is in Delta. The same thing with bodies floating on water. So here's my question to this. The states that produce this oil, at least the big ones, right? How many states we are producing oil in Nigeria? There's Delta, there's Ẹkáàbọ, there's Rivers, and Bayelsa. 4 big ones. Then you have Ondo, you have Lagos, you have Edo, and then you have Abia, Anambra, and Imo. And I've said it several times, Abia, Anambra, and Imo combined produce 2.1%. Edo is about 2.3. Lagos is about 2.4, 2.5, thereabouts. Ondo State produces over 4%. Some say almost 4%. And then you have the big 4. So here's the problem. Who will get you that 10 trillion naira? Is it the same states where you went to kill people? The Ondo states that you went to have Ore? to burn, Ole Kuijare that suffered at the hands of Biafrans should be the one to contribute money and pay Biafrans in the name of reparation. I don't think some people think before they say things about apologies. And so in reality, and I've said this several times, I was going to play on that video much later, maybe not today. If you're looking for apologies, it should be the other way around. So let me remind us what I said earlier. I am not saying be callous. Saying they're, it's just their fault. That's not the point. The point is, while you can be empathetic, you can be compassionate, you can respect, you can love people and all the good stuff, you should not do what you're not supposed to do, which is apologize for what is not your responsibility. In other words, it's not your fault. Why are you going to apologize for it? And I'm doing this not for Shore's sake, it's for Nigerians. Don't let anybody blackmail you. There are people in Nigeria that the only thing, the heirloom their parents bequeath to them, there are certain books, you go out and you see some books, like, oh, okay. So we have to ensure that those books, I just wanted to say, yeah, that's good. Yeah. It's a book by an Igbo person on Biafra. I read their books. But here's the problem. Folks from the South do not even read Igbo books, let alone other people's books. All they know is what their grandparents told them. And what their grandparents know is actually what Achebe, Okokonon them, and Choko Merije told them. So we're supposed to be living with what propagandists created. And we must never question it. If we question it, we are tribalists. But guess what? Let's read Igbo books. Let's read Yoruba books. Let's read Hausa books, American books, British books. Let's read all the books that we can read and understand what really happened. And what you're going to find is this. You should have compassion for people from the Southeast because they went through hell. But you should never have to apologize for what you are not responsible for. That's the point. And for those of you who are still insulting me in the comment section on YouTube, that is your parents' business. They didn't teach you. You have the opportunity to learn. Instead of you to be paying me right now, you're still cursing me. You are ungrateful. May God forgive you. In Jesus' name. Amen. So let's see if we have any. If we have any reactions, we'll just speak to those things. Someone says some other Nigerians have their sons and never returned home. One of these, I'm going to talk about the Yorubas who died in that war. Majority of the folks in 3MCD, 3rd Marine Commando Division, majority of them were Yoruba. Some of the POWs that were taken by Biafrans were Yoruba people, and they were not properly fed. They were not even taken care of, unlike what Benjamin Adekunle did to the Ibos that he caught. Read the book by Brigadier General Godwin Labi-Sama, Tragedy of Victory. And I think I've shared it here before. They had about 400 POWs from Biafra. That's the 3MCD. 3MCD is 3rd Marine Commando Division of the Nigerian Army. They had 400. Sorry, we have retards come from time to time. It comes to the territory. Let me just mute this clown so that we can concentrate. They had 400 POWs, Biafran soldiers that they, caught, arrested, and all of those things. At some point, they were now too many, they were 400. So they were like, okay, so how do we take care of this thing? Because you have to feed them. So they came up with 3 options. Number 1, we fly them to... 1 second.
Tell him I'm busy. I'll call him. You have a situation where you should sit down.
You have a situation where oh gosh, what was I saying? I got distracted, sorry. Yeah, 3MCD. So you had 400 POWs. They needed to do something about it. So they came up with 3 options. Number 1, send them to Lagos. Because of course Lagos was the capital at the time. But here's the problem. The aircraft only comes on Thursdays, once a week. So that means that, and it comes with food. So if you send some people, how many times do they have to fly in order to get everybody to Lagos from that area? Okay, so second option, send them back to the east, to Biafra. Oh, that would not be very smart, because you are essentially helping your opponent, your enemy, by sending him the troops that you had caught. Third option, kill them. That way you can solve the problem of everybody. But Benjamin Dekule, the same person that they are always cursing out and everything, he said, no, we can't take any of these three options. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk to them and find a way to convince them that they're on the wrong side. So he had a meeting with the POWs and told them about the issue. Listen, guys, you are Nigerians, right? This guy is just lying to you. Ojukwu, and by the way, Ojukwu is still lying to them in his grave, because they're still banding about with the lies from him. And
said to them, listen, this is what's happening. You're Nigerians, Nigerian unity, and so on and so forth. Going back to the east. And they said they were going back because they wanted to go take care of the
of the 400, only 20 said they were going back to the east. And they said they were going back because they wanted to go take care of their aged parents. 380 of the POWs stayed back with the Nigerian Armed Forces. And they helped, because they helped with reconnaissance, they helped with, the topography of the place and all of those things. But here's the issue. The Yorubas who were on the side of Biafra, who were the POWs, they had a totally different story. Read the book by John de Senjo. I'll talk about the account. They were not properly taken care of. But it's the same person whose people were taken care of to the point where they even became part of the Nigerian army, that would then cry to you to tell you that, oh, because again, at some point, if you study all these books, you discover that at some point the Ibos had nothing but lies. In other words, they had to lie to the people to get them going on, which is why I feel sorry for the people. It's not that the people are the problem. It's that the people have believed the problems. And the problem are those ones who got them into trouble. Even people are not people's problems until they believe the lies. It's not like the people who are terrible, they're not, they are bad people. No, of course they are not bad people. They are good people. They're just like every other human beings. It's just that they happen to believe the lies, and they move to the point where they never went to check if the things they told them were so. And so when they believe those things, everybody becomes their enemies. And the point is that you don't have enemies. Your enemies is actually your real enemy is the one who is pointing at every other person as your enemy. So to now tell me to come and apologize for what your real enemy did is insane. Is insanity. But if you like, be worshiping the enemy. But I can assure you that Nigeria owes nobody. And it's important to say these things one of the next generation, because we grew up being blackmailed. And somebody said some nonsense to me in the comment section on YouTube today, and I said to the person, I said, listen, if you actually read some of these things, the only prayer I have for you is that you still have love and respect for you, because I want you to respect the Ibos, love them, have compassion when they talk about their issues. But if you really read the things I've read and you still have that feeling, that will be because God has helped you. I can assure you, if you read some of these things, you will hate some people. Not hate them because they went through that thing, but hate them because they have blackmailed you and called you the reason for their predicament. That's the problem. But if we're looking for healing, let's look for healing. And how do we get healing? Bring out the truth. This is what happened. Last week, I talked about Asaba massacre. That's when Nigerian army messed up big time. How do you round up 500 to 800 people? Some people say 500, some people say 800. Whatever the numbers, even if they're just 5, is bad enough. But how do you round up hundreds of people and shoot and just kill them? We've had sessions like that here before. We're going to listen to it maybe next week. The Asaba massacre. It's gory. It's terrible. That's Nigeria making a mess of things, or at least the Nigerian army, or at least the battalion and the Haruna and the rest of the gang. So you can acknowledge when you are wrong. If Nigeria is wrong, we acknowledge it. We bring everything to the open. Oh, this is where you did wrong, or where you went wrong. This is where you went wrong, and everything. But you cannot be celebrating me when I speak about Asaba massacre, even though most of our books don't even go near that matter. But if we're talking about Asaba massacre and we are saying this is where Nigeria made mistake, and you are cheering us, and now we now say let's now flip the page and tell you what all other things happened, you now begin to cry that people hate you. You are not serious. And if you don't want to hear about what your fathers did, then don't come around to celebrate when you hear what Murtala Mohammed did, which was wrong. Because everybody has something to bear, or some form of responsibility. And to be honest, when it comes to the suffering of the Ibos, sincerely, God sees my heart. If you're really looking for the people to blame, you have to start from your home. I might be shocked that if you're looking for 100, 99 of them will probably be in your family, amongst your own people. If you don't believe me, please, let me advise you, do a research on this phrase, Newi click. Just do some research. Not all this Google nonsense that people are saying, like, it's actually crazy, by the way. People who comment on the videos and then you ask them for sources, then they'll tell you that there's Google, that if you Google it, you find. I'm like, are you children? You think we're going to go through all the stress of reading all these books and then I'll now come to talk to you? Your source will be Google. What kind of nonsense are we doing in Nigeria? You say Google. Google is your source of information. Google should be the source of your source of information. In other words, you Google, you find the right books, you now study those books. Those are your sources. A clown came here the other day, told me to go and look at ChatGPT. But if I really want to understand it, I should go and use DeepSeek. Talking nonsense with confidence. Align Rono. The same is like telling me to go to the library. What's the source of what you're saying? Go to the library. These are the people that are telling you that they went to school. Just be reading your newspaper and you don't have capacity to read newspaper. Be reading your receipts, JJ, and invoice, selling your spare parts. God will help all of us. But the point I'm trying to make is this: we all need to study, and what we are doing on this platform is to study together. Because I know that some of us are busy. We have, things we're doing. So let's gather around books and discuss what happened and be as explain things that maybe, again, nothing we discuss here is okay. My explanation will be new because it's me, but the sources are not new. These things have been written for years. They are in books. They're all over. I'm surrounded by them. You just pick one, you find something new. Because you don't know it. The things I still read and I find those things are new. But the person who wrote it, that thing is not new to the person. That means that I'm the one who hasn't gotten the information. I will not just go around be, throwing tantrums and saying it's a lie, it's a lie. Say why? Say because I did not know before now. That means it's a lie. That's retarded. You didn't know before now because you were ignorant. Not because the information was not existing. And maybe when people actually grow up, they'll be able to appreciate what we're doing. But everybody will be fine. Anyway, a few more comments, and then we'll move on. I'll just read from YouTube, and then I'll read a few from TikTok as well. I'm trying to run away from the curses. By the way, if you're cursing me, just let me tell you something. It's lighting on your family members. It's alighting on on the members of your family. So if you want to continue, please be my guest. But if you go home and discover that every single thing you say here is happening to your family members, just know that you did it to yourself. Okay? Thank you very much for understanding. All right, let's read a few things here. Akinfolawan Akinkugbe says, please watch General Abi's summer videos with Edmond Obilo. You will see why Biafra failed and how the war was fought. I've watched the videos, but I don't think that's how you know why Biafra failed. But you will know, you get some information from there. And the book I referenced earlier is a book by the same, Brigadier General Gotan Labisama. But yeah, again, one of the things we also have to be very careful of is when it comes to matters like this, you can't have one source unless that source is referencing different things. Alabisama focused on military strategy, right, and what they fought there. There's a politics behind all those things. He mentioned some. Right, for instance, the Robert Goldstein thing, the letter is in Alabisama's book. So sometimes you have to piece information together from different sources, right? For instance, they're saying that John the Messenger, for instance, did not go too deep into the military, whatever, like Alabisama did. And there's no book on earth that has as many pictures of the war, about the war, than Alabisama's book. None on this earth. So you have to, okay, if I'm looking for this is where I go. If I'm looking for that, that's where I go. And then you can now piece everything together and make sense of, the past. But thank you very much for your comment. Veritas says, in Ogoja, there is a dark night that is spoken of till today. 20 young girls were raped and beheaded by Biafrans. Wow. 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 All right. Okay, for Lion says again, it is due to their very dumb mindset. It is well. Veritas says the people of Abonema were forcefully evacuated to the Igbo Atlant and replaced by Ibos. That happened. They were moved to Umaya. You are right, Veritas. Very right. They were moved to Umaya. And you find that in the book by the former Attorney General to the Eastern Region. It's been months actually. If you're a human being, there's no way you're going to read that book and you believe the nonsense that Ojukwu has told you. But again, I'm assuming we are all human beings. So, Mr. Akifalayan, thank you very much for that. So let's go back to TikTok now and take a few more responses. Ojukwu and Achebe should apologize to them. Big fella, you are 100% correct. And let me say this, especially to young people. Sincerely, I know sometimes I may sound a bit harsh, but sincerely, you don't know how bad this thing is. You don't know how bad it is. It's so bad that the next generation is believing it. It's so bad that the next generation is literally doing the exact same things their parents did. And they don't even know why. Go on X and read some of those books. Let me give an example. If you read the book by Shehu Shagari, Beckon to Serve, and you read the book by Nnamdi Azikiwe, The Origins of the Civil War, compare the things that the Ibos were saying in 66 to what people are saying on X today is exactly the same thing. Sometimes even word for word. So what does that do to you as a person, just as an observer? You begin to feel concerned for that people because there is no way you're not going to end the way those other people ended. Because what history teaches is that if people did this and got in that ditch, if you are doing the same thing, especially when you have not learned from what they've done, you have not created any guardrails, you don't know how to, you're going to find yourself in the same ditch. That's the point. That's the reason we speak like this, not because anybody hates anybody. You are doing exactly what your forebears did. You will get in trouble. Because it will get to a point where the people will say it's enough. Azikiwe wrote it in his book. Taunting people. I saw one today, said the only thing that will happen in Lagos is Lagos must be divided into two, or else Ibos must become governor. I'm like, and you know the funny thing, it's very similar to what happened, in the past. Why would you repeat the same mistakes in every generation? Why? Because you don't learn. And the reason you can't learn is because you don't take responsibility. It's every other person's fault. So why am I speaking about it? Because I don't want my own people to be manipulated by your stupidity. If you want to not learn from history and you want to get into the same problem, that's on you. But I shouldn't have to bear the burden, and say we want to apologize to you for what you have caused yourself. What I can say to you is that what you are doing, this is what is going to end. This is where you're going to end. And it's not because I'm praying for any evil to happen to you. I'm just telling you that based on history, based on the antecedents of your forebears, you're going to, like they say in Yoruba, wawebe. But don't worry, just keep insulting. God will help all of us in Jesus' name. A few more things on TikTok. May God help all of us. May God heal Nigeria. It is well. May God heal Igbo land. Remy Guy. Otojometa, good to see you, sir. Yeah, we're talking about POWs. Baba, where have you been? Abdul Muiz Oyebanji. So again, we have sessions at 4 p.m. now. 4 p.m. Ife time, West African time. That's when we have our sessions. So if you're used to the 1 p.m. thing, we changed it. When I say we, literally, it was done here. We had a poll. People voted, and they said they wanted to change the time. So who am I? So I say make I just follow what you people did talk. So now we can't make it 4 o'clock. So Mondays to Fridays, 4 p.m. Ife time, West African time. But Tuesdays and Thursdays we have shorter sessions. So we're going to be closing very soon. Okay. But thank you for being here. Shakiruddin Omoyele on TikTok says Shore is looking for cheap popularity but fails to appreciate the fact you can never please the Ibos. God bless you for that. If you like, go and build Dubai inside the Southeast. You will still not be liked. And I say this not because of hatred or anything, but because of data. 1947 January, Sir Arthur Richards, the Governor General of Nigeria, put out a statement. He said, it was at a conference with the other Governor Generals, with the other colonial officers. He said that the eastern part of Nigeria is the region that contributed the least to everything. Contributed the least in terms of revenue, but he asks for more of everything. In other words, he's not asking you for more because he's giving. He's asking you for more and he's crying about it because that's a strategy to getting more. When you hear we are marginalized, you should sit down and ask yourself, what happened in Lagos? Has it ever happened in the Southeast where a governor was not given allocation on a monthly basis for a bit? Was there ever a time in Nigeria's history where the Southeast was shelved aside and money was not sent to them? What does it mean to be marginalized? What does it really mean? During President Obasanjo's 2 terms, right, where he was president, we had 5 Senate presidents from the Southeast. What do you mean you are out of power? 5. Enwerem, Okadigbo, right? Parasayim, Nnamani, Adolphus Wabara. 5. Ekweremadu was the deputy senate president before he got, whatever happened. Presently, the deputy speaker of the House of Representatives is Ibos. What do you mean you've been marginalized and you've been pushed out of power? What does it mean? I will not be manipulated in the name of what's the word? National unity. Oh, we have not been president since 1999. Well, Hausas have never been president since forever. I don't see them crying around like bush babies. Hausas have never been president in this country. And you have a right to be president? Of course. You have a right. Everybody has a right. A thief man doesn't have less right than a Yoruba man. Everybody has a right. But you play the game. If you win, you win. If you lose, you lose. You try again later. Nobody's going to make you president because they want to, may not be like say with their. And by the way, I said it earlier. I said, they said they don't want to. They said they were not going to make them president. They will never get there. Have you ever studied what happened when they were there? And it happened not once but twice. 1960 to 1964, January to July of 1969. What happened to Nigerian civil service, especially the federal civil service? What happened to our constitution? What happened? You really think those old men? We are reading these things in books. And instead of us to read these things and say, we have to fix it and make things better and find a way to build Nigeria. No, the one who is actually at fault will keep blaming everybody for his own mistakes. And if you say, no, it's not my responsibility, it's yours, take responsibility. They say, no, you're a bigot, you're a tribalist. Those are the words they put in their mouth. And by the way, I know you are saying it. If you call me tribalist, that's your business. I don't care. Oh, you're a bigot. Okay, it doesn't do. This is not about banter. This is about facts of history. And this is not weaponization of history. This is nobody saying that this group is the worst and everything. We're saying that you cannot come from where you come from with that kind of history and think in your mind that you can actually blackmail the rest of us. It's not going to happen. All right, a few more things before we move on. Someone says there was concentration camp in Ogoni land. The Ogoni lost about 15% of the male population. I didn't know that. I knew there was a concentration camp, but I didn't know they lost that many people. Wow. That means I also have to read a few more books. Or maybe many more. If you have any source for that statement, please feel free to write in the comment section so that we can, I could also, I didn't know they lost that many people. Someone is also confirming on YouTube, Abonema lost 20% of their population. Wow. Wow. I know they lost a lot of people, but I didn't know it was that high. That's why I said the day the people from the South start talking about this war, woe betide anyone who tells them to stop. If you're looking for the real victims of Biafra, they are the real victims of Biafra. In some cases, they even suffer from Nigeria. Why do you think when they go to Okpobo, the 3MCD, they had to bring people together to try to explain to them that we're on your side, though? Read the book by Godwin Labisama, where the man was saying that in the north you killed our people and things like that. And Colonel Abubakar was a Hausa man. He was the one who was now explaining to the people, like, listen, this is what happened. That's what happened. This is what the Ibos did. This is what we now did after this happened. Going all the way from January 66, they explained. In some cases, the Nigerian forces also, like in Asaba, for instance, minorities also suffered. In some cases, they suffered on two fronts. They suffered from Nigeria, they suffered from Ibos. Nigeria's story, the South, the so-called Eastern minorities at the time, I think they are healed. They've not forgotten, no, but they are healed. They don't raise their children with propaganda. They tell them the truth. The truth will set you free. Propaganda will curse you and your generations because you will be fighting the shadows. You are fighting, you are shadow boxing. Nobody is there you're just killing yourself. They told their children the truth. They know what happened. But they've healed. Because I'll say this to us, if those people have not healed, if every group in Nigeria decides to act based on what has happened in the past, I can assure you, Ibos will only be in 5 states in this country. People don't appreciate the peace that we have in this country. That's why they are talking this nonsense. Oh, they don't allow us to do something. What else should they allow you to do? Own their family houses? You are all over the country. You are in people's local governments. They're not chasing you. Everybody is fine with your presence. For you, if you have not gotten to the point where you dominate everything in that place, they've not allowed you. That's true. Thank you for bringing that up. And I think I'll probably have a session on this thing again. Awolowo saved allocations meant for the Eastern region during the war. I should talk about it. One of these, I'm going to talk about it. And I'm going to use 2 sources. Papa's interview in 1983 and go on, the biography of a soldier statesman by J. Isawa Eligo. 3.5 million pounds was the initial money that was sent to ACB. Another tranche was sent to Cooperative Bank of Eastern Nigeria, CBEN. Why they send those monies there? Because they were trying to help the Ibos get back on their feet so that they'll be able to access loans. If you can, if you have the time, is Asika. The CEO of Storm Records, Obi Asika, that's his father. Please read up on Asika. He was in UI, work will go on to rebuild the Southeast. It's been said that he did a fantastic job. The question you should be asking is this: where did the money come from? Some of that money was what accrued to the Eastern region that Awolowo saved and gave it to the administrators that came on board later. But Awo is the devil to these clowns. One day I'm going to actually, because like I always say, when it comes to things like this, it's very good to read books so that it's not going to be like, say, someone just making things up. I mentioned the sources already. I mentioned 2. There are more. Read the book by J. Isawa Eligo. Go on, the biography of a soldier statesman. He talked about it. You will not find it in Gina Chebesha, because for him, they did nothing for them. Because to do something for them means that you have to take responsibility for what they are. Yoruba can't have that clannish mindset in 2025, but we can protect our space. We can say this is what we want, this is what we don't want, and if you don't like it, you can go and hug transformer or go back home. And I say that in love. It's called tough love. In other words, I love you enough to protect what's mine, because again, it's like the story. And by the way, people say, oh, but you're a Christian. Listen, Read the parable of the foolish and wise virgins. Is what's happening. You have to preserve what's yours. Your children now come later and say, and you now say, I give it to somebody just to make one Nigeria. You are the one that they will curse. So yeah, we have to be more aware, and we have to understand.
Doctors say a boundary needs to be set now as it is, or it is set. Then the last one I'm going to read on YouTube is the continued insistence of Ibos requesting an apology will result in unearthing all the historical accounts of the coups, political crisis, and civil war. Then Ibos will know their lies are done. May God bless you. May God bless you. Oh. Oh, sorry about that. I think it's
Oh, sorry about that. I think it's the app. I'm just going to quickly fix it. But I hope you can hear me now. So I was trying to. I was reading the comment. This is going to be the last comment. But the other towns, if you don't mind writing a book title, so I'll just, get the book and also learn, All right. I was saying something. Yeah, I was reading the comment. That would be the last comment that we're reading. It's on YouTube. It's by Akinfolawan Akinkugbe. I just need to switch the mic. It says the continued insistence of Ibos requesting an apology will result in unearthing all the historical accounts of the coups, political crisis, and civil war. Then Ibos will know their lies are done. May God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. You see, if people have chosen to keep quiet and you decide to poke and taunt them and blame them for what they never did, at some point they will have to tell you the truth of what really happened, which is what's happening right now. And that's why I also read books, because I'm not making anything up, but it's important to begin to put these things out there for ourselves and for our children, so that what we really need will get, which is what? Healing. People actually get healed, and then the sting of death is gone. That power that you have over Nigeria is also gone. And let me say this is the last thing I want to say before I go to the news. Sorry, to the announcement. If you understand the truth of what really happened, this is the truth. You are going to lose your power over Nigerians. You will not be able to blackmail or gaslight or play the victim anymore. And that's going to be bad, because that's the only tool that a lot of people use in this country to be very bad. But for the first time, you will see yourself as equal to everyone in Nigeria. That alone heals all this rough thing in the mind where you think you are lower. You are not. We are all at the same level. Culturally and in civilization, we are totally different. But as citizens of Nigeria, we are all the same. And if you understand that, then you now begin to engage the system as a citizen, not as a victim. I hope you don't mind having that. But if you do, well, the ball is in your court. Anyway, it's been a fantastic session today. I'd like to change this now. There's something I want to tell us about very quickly. On the 24th of October, we're going to start a game show. It's called Redomi Republic. It will be recorded on TikTok. And we're also going to watch it live on... So we're going to stream it just like we stream normal sessions, streamed on TikTok, on Facebook, on YouTube, everywhere. But then the content will be coming out, starting in November in episodic form. So please join us, on Friday. That will be next week, not tomorrow though. By tomorrow, we're going to put out a link where you can, register to contest, and there'll be cash prizes, right? Again, it's not just online. It's just that we're going to be recording it online, so we're not going to have to needs to be in a studio. All you have to do is to have a TikTok account. You're able to show your face, you answer the questions, and you win the money. When we eventually start, I'm going to tell us about the rules and everything. But suffice to say that this show is starting on 24th of October 2025 on Friday, and every Friday we'll be having, the game show. So please, if you're interested, you know history, you read the books, you don't believe what I'm saying, you think it's a lie, you know more than me, that's fine. Even me, I have a lot of things to learn. Like today, somebody just wrote something in the comment section. I need to go and find that book if I, once sometimes we buy the books. May God give us time, we'll read. So we'll find it. So if you're like that kind of person who has information and everything, just come around to align with the truth of history, not with propaganda from certain quarters. Anyway, you get it right, and then you make money. The show is going to be focusing on Nigerian and Igbo. So hey, Jesus, Nigerian Igbos are in Nigeria too, Abi. Nigeria. I'm reading what a clown that calls himself Dr. Benjamin says on YouTube. That's why I read Igbo. So it's Nigerian and Yoruba history, politics, and culture. That's what the game show is going to be based on. And then from time to time, be able to bring people up to answer the question. So if you'd like to contest, sponsor by maybe having a product that you want to put out there. But all of that is going to start on Friday, 24th October 2025. But tomorrow, we're going to have the link so we can register. Thank you very much. It's called Redomi Republic, and it's going to be a fantastic thing that we're about to start. It's going to be a very good way to learn history. It's interactive, it's fun, it's educational, and we're going to all learn together. All right. And we're also going to be streaming it. We're going to be putting the content out on a week, so that many of the things that we've been discussing here will be able to also disseminate at a broader level or in a broader way. Thank you very much for that. Somebody says, okay, it's Benjamin. I stopped reading, but since you are here, let me just read a few things you said. It said you built a career bashing and dehumanizing Ibos. Perhaps if you spend more time calling out the incompetence of Nigerian government, maybe more Yoruba will stop treating Tinubu as God. Tinubu is actually your God. You should be worshipping him day and night. For the Yoruba, he's just one of us. He's not our God. But for you, he's a God. You should be worshipping him. I mean, literally, I don't want to tell you why, but think about it. If you hate Ibos so much, why not support them having their own sovereign nation? I don't hate them. That's the problem with your argument. I don't hate Ibos. I don't hate Ibos. You hate Ibos because you hate the truth. May God give you understanding. Let's end it like that, Benjamin. Let's not say the things that will make you now not be able to sleep at night. May God bless you. May God bless Igbo land. May God bless Nigeria and bless every part of this country. May there be peace in our land, and the places where we're having challenges, may God give our leaders the wisdom they require to be able to solve those issues. May we be part of the solutions we seek, and may those of us who have all these bright ideas have opportunities to actually serve and implement the things that we've been saying government should do, like this one that says now, the incompetence of Nigerian government. How is Nigerian government incompetent? Is Nigerian government the one saying that your states should not do what they're supposed to do? That is making you celebrate Fountain in 2025. That's the incompetence of Nigerian government. Anything that once you don't have anything to celebrate, it is Nigerian. Once it's something that you want to celebrate, you will mention your ethnic group. You are joking. May God help you. Anyway, it's been nice being here. Thank you very much for being here. Tomorrow we're going to continue the series, Awolowo, Akintola, and the Battle for the West, Part 5. That will be on Friday. So please join us tomorrow for that session. It's going to be very, very beautiful. We're going to be reading 2 main books. We might read others as well, but 2 main books. The first one is S. Laduke Akintola, His Life and Times by Akinjide Osuntokun, and The Travails of Democracy and the Rule of Law, Adventures in Power, Book 2 by Papa Bafemi Awolowo. those will be the two main books for tomorrow. We're going to read other books if time permits, but let's make it a date, and I will see you then. So thank you very much for being here. May God bless our land, may God heal our land, and may God heal people's hearts. All of us, may God heal us, but may God also give us the wisdom to, the wisdom to know how to act, the boldness to declare the truth. All right, and the wisdom that, and the knowledge that we require, so that we're not blackmailed by others. Okay, and may that be our portion in Jesus' name. Thank you very much for being here. I'm going to play the anthems now as we end the session. I'm going to play the Nigerian anthem and also the Yoruba anthem, but because of copyright issues, we're going to have to let our folks on YouTube go. By the way, I'm looking for a Nigerian anthem that doesn't have copyright, whatever, so that it's easy for us to play and then we can all end together. So hopefully I'll find tonight. But if you don't have any, right, maybe something that's recent, please let me know. You can send it to me on Telegram. I would really appreciate it. I would like for all of us to end the sessions together, regardless of the platforms we are on. So right now we're streaming on TikTok, on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitter. From next week, we'll be able to listen to the anthems together, the Nigerian anthem and the Yoruba anthem. But for today, we're going to have to let the YouTube folks go, and I'll see you tomorrow, 4 p.m. Ife time, West African time. We'll have a fantastic session discussing Awolowo Akintola.